Earnestly podcast here, recording this on a late Wednesday night, to drop on Thursday morning, early morning. I was thinking a lot of things to talk about today. Well, first off, and you guys already knew this because I did a podcast 2 days ago. I recorded it. The 8 years in episode that was dropped on Monday. Today, as this recording anyway, right now it's 11:18 at night, so I got another 42 minutes to celebrate. But it's my 8-year anniversary. My wife and I, Lauren. So that's going on. In about 42 minutes will be my son's second birthday, Logan, and then my oldest son, Eli, who will turn 6 next week, Monday. So like I said, it's a big week for my family. And I thought I wasn't going to do much recording this week, but apparently I have some time to do some recordings, and lots of things I'll talk about got off my chest. You know, a lot of things I got off my chest. First off, I want to talk about the AAF suspending operations. Yesterday or 2 days ago. Well, it'll be 2 days ago when this podcast hits. It was on Tuesday. The AAF, the Alliance of American Football, suspended operations and most likely will be folding their league after only 8 weeks of football. Well, 7 weeks. Was it 7 weeks? 8 weeks? I can't remember exactly what it was. I'm kind of surprised. I'm also going to talk about Russell Wilson and why I believe he deserves every dollar he demands from the Seattle Seahawks. There's a rumor out there that he's demanding has a date in place for the Seahawks and himself to have a deal for a new contract. And Nipsey Hussle, who got murdered on Sunday. I want to lay out some my opinions on him and some things I've been on my mind last couple of days since his untimely and awful murder that happened in California this past Sunday. Okay, let's start with the AAF, who suspended operations on 2 days ago, and I'm shocked. And I'm shocked because for a lot of reasons, and I feel sad because when week one this league started, the week after the Super Bowl, and the ratings were really good. I believe what was the ratings? I mean, it was like they outdrew the NBA that week. Did the NBA game on that Saturday between the Thunder and the Rockets. I remember going on my buddy Steve Borstein's show, and he's on this podcast pretty often. He asked my opinion about, the league, and basically he asked me if this will work out, and he had his doubts early on. He was pretty vocal about that. I told him I think this will work out. Ratings the ratings wouldn't be as high as it was in week number one, but it'll tail off a little bit, but it should maintain. I felt good about this league too because of the luminaries involved. The viability involved, the names involved. You had guys like Bill Polian is a Hall of Fame guy, general manager, smart football guy who's involved with this thing. Hines Ward, Steve Spurrier. You got some guys here who know the game of football. And, obviously the comparison being used when this thing started was, okay, well, the XFL started out well and it failed in the same year. But my opinion is, and it's still holds true today. The XFL, when it came out in 2001, was way too gimmicky, and that's why it didn't work out. Okay? This league was a football league selling football and the love of football. So my thought process, about 2 months ago was that, okay, well, this is a football league selling football, and, you're not really competing in the NFL because the NFL season's over. You just are an extension. Yeah, certainly not as good as the NFL in terms of product, but at least it should be able to whet the appetite. Now, my only gripe I've said about the AAF and then the XFL that's coming next year, which we'll talk about in a second, is the fact that, okay, is it right to have the league start a week after the NFL season's over? Should they move the AAF sometime in the summer where, there's nothing going on? This is baseball. This is NBA free agency, the NBA finals at this point. This is baseball. That's it. Nothing going on during the summer. And it also gets you ready for the NFL season. It's kind of the gateway to the NFL season. But I guess the logic obviously was that, okay, well, football's coming to an end and everybody's sad, but we have this product to give you, so be it. And I get it. I totally get why they want to start the league right in February, right when the Super Bowl ends. I totally get it. I even wrote a blog about this. I even wrote a column on my blog. The day after, 2 days after the debut. And I thought that this league would last because I thought the way it seemed very, very viable. It seemed very realistic. But there's a lot of things I did not comprehend. And again, I'm not an insider. So I'm not an insider with this league, so I can't tell you the things that they were lacking on. There was no cash flow. Week 2, and I thought maybe it's a PR. I thought this was all PR, and maybe just a little blip. When there was a threat after week 1 that the league wouldn't make payroll, and that Tom Dundon came in and put in an extra $250 million investment to the league. And okay, well, cool, that's cool, and everything's fine now. Ratings are going to fall a little bit, but they're going to still be able to be viable. And here we are now. The league is folding. Well, it's not folding yet, but it looks like it's going that route. It's been operations, and then I'm hearing the stories now. What's apparently players. It's so bad now financially for this league that players have to pay their own plane tickets to go back home. Like the league won't even, or the teams won't even give players money or fund their tickets to go back home. That's how bad things are, allegedly. There's another story I saw that the league also, they wouldn't feed the team or feed any extra. A lot of cost cutting things they're doing. I saw tweets about that. I mean, it is really shocking that this league really struggled out the gate. But again, I think what a lot of it too was the fact that there were cost measures I don't think you and I wouldn't even consider. You would think the food and little things like that and doctors and all that'd be all taken care of before we look at everything else. Apparently not. So I'm really sad. And now people want to say, well, the XFL's going to fail too. Here's the difference between the AAF, in my opinion, and the XFL. I think next year when it comes out in 2020, the XFL is going to have a lot more of a better platform because they have the XFL's first is owned by Vince McMahon, who's the owner of the WWE. Okay, the XFL will have the opportunity to be on a better platform, mainly because the WWE already has a very solid platform. You have WWE Network, where you can put the games on, for example, and whatnot. You can market this. You can market this thing easily on the World Wrestling Entertainment, platforms, pay-per-views, all that. They have a lot more eyeballs to draw in. The AAF, had to pay out of their ass, probably, I imagine, for advertisement. CBS Network and NFL Network and all this stuff. So they were behind the ball anyway from the word go. And it's I'm still shocked because I thought I really believed that this league would work out at least for a couple of years. I thought they have all the nooks and crannies taken care of. I did not think 7 weeks, 8 weeks in, this league will fold. And yeah, here we are. And it's canceled, suspended, not folded yet, but all signs point to go in that direction. I don't know what they need for this thing to be viable again, for it to work. And I think another problem also too, more than anything else. And this is something my concern was early on, but I thought maybe with time it would work out. You and me, as a consumer who loves football, okay, you and me as a consumer, watching sports as long as we have, me watching sports as long as I have, and I love all sports, most sports anyway, not all sports, but most sports. There's a habit we have. There's a certain habit. We all know that come fall, it's all about college football, the NFL. Then later on, the NBA comes back, but the casual fan will probably not watch the NBA much until after the end of the NFL/college football season in January. We all know Christmas is the time the NBA really gets kicks. Even though the NBA starts really in mid-October, we know that by Christmas, that's when the unofficial start of the season and eyeballs lock into the NBA. So a lot of it's behavior and getting used to the idea that football is still being played in the winter months beyond Super Bowl. And I have to admit, even myself, even though I did check in on the teams and watch some games here and there, I wasn't locked in either. Because, and this is the worst part too for the AAF, and maybe even the XFL to some degree, is that there are too many options now for things to watch. You know, at least in 2001, the XFL didn't have a lot of competition in terms of like Netflix and Hulu and Amazon and you know, all these other things that you had control by your fingertips. Now, you have that and then some. So you're competing not only with the sports around you, also the behavior. You have to change the behavior of people who are not used to the idea of having football being played, you know, in February, March, and April. And by the way, those months also too are a problem because, say what you want, but you may not be a big college basketball fan, but come March Madness, everybody's locked in. So the AAF had to deal with that too, the March Madness thing in the college basketball tournament. You know, that's why I said it was. I always thought that the league would have been better to be started off late in the middle of the year as opposed to in the winter. But it's the behavior more than anything else, and nobody after the first couple of weeks, no one really talked about the AAF. You know, after week 3, week 4, on a national basis. You know, I talk about it to some degree, but again, I'm also the anomaly. You know, our good friend Kyle Nash on this podcast comes all the time. We talk about it all the time because he covered the Orlando Apollos. He covered the team as a beat writer. So there was the connection there. But for the average sports fan, even the average football fan, they're not, unless you really pound in their heads that football is being played in February, March, and April, that unless you train the brain to know that's what being played, really no shot. There's really no shot here. So again, it's a sad day because I want this to work. I want this to work. But sadly, I think this is unfold. Now again, people, and this is the debate I got on. I had a debate with about this on social media about the XFL's chances. I think the XFL has a better chance of lasting because of the platforms. Because advertising for them will be really easy. Because Vince already owns a huge company in WWE, he can easily advertise his product on pay-per-views, on Raws, on SmackDowns, on the network itself, and have games on the network as well too. Have it connected if need be. He doesn't need CBS and Fox and all these other networks. And by the way, WWE will be on Fox too later in this year. You can also tie that in as well too. I mean, that's why this is what the advantage the XFL has. Now, ultimately, the XFL will still have the same challenges the AAF face here, is training the average football fan, or training any football fan for that matter, even a hardcore football fan like myself, training the football fan to get used to the idea of football existing in the winter and spring. Because that's still the biggest challenge, is getting eyeballs to watch the product and getting people to realize that, yeah, it may not be as good as the NFL, but we do have football being played around this time. And that's the challenge. And no one's is able to be able to really, you know, do that at this point. I know, it's a sad day. I wish AAF worked out. Sadly, it didn't work out. And unless there's I don't know what they need now before what's needed before to avoid folding, but I don't know. It's a sad day. It really is. Okay, let's get into another topic here I want to talk about here. Russell Wilson. Now, there was a report according to, I believe, the Seattle New Times. I'm not sure exactly the publication, but I saw it on Pro Football Talk and whatever. But Russell Wilson, and by the way, I originally thought this was an April Fool's prank, because I saw this report early in the week. I can't confirm this report came out actually originally on April Fool's Day, because I was this week has been kind of like, you know, working and, you know, family stuff. I haven't really, so a lot of stories I catch up on happens after the fact. But the report was that Russell Wilson allegedly has given the Seattle Seahawks until April 15th to come up to agree to a extension. And it doesn't sound like Russell Wilson to do something like that. But again, I think Russell Wilson knows his value. Russell Wilson, in my opinion, I'm one of the biggest Russell Wilson defenders on the planet. In fact, he is my favorite player in the NFL, and I've been saying this for years. Even our own Kyle Nash has come around on Russell Wilson the last couple of years, saying he should have been doing MVP 2 years ago, and was the MVP conversation last year. Russell Wilson deserves every dollar he gets. Russell Wilson should be the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. And not because he deserves to be paid more than Aaron Rodgers and Tom Brady and eventually Patrick Mahomes. Not that. Is that the economics dictate this. Russell Wilson is worth the money. Russell Wilson is a top 5 quarterback in the league. There's no doubt about that. That's not a conversation. You know, people say, I saw, I think it was Ben Mahler from Fox Sports Radio saying, you know, that he doesn't deserve that kind of money because he was last among starting quarterbacks in attempts, pass attempts. I disagree. No offense to Ben Mahler, but I disagree with him. If that's the logic you're going to use for Russell Wilson to not get paid, no, I am not with you there, man. No. Russell Wilson, the reason why the Seattle Seahawks were a run-first offense was because that was their strength, okay? It's also was to keep Russell Wilson upright because the offensive line for years has been terrible. So, yeah, if Russell Wilson throwing the ball 40-plus times, he's doomed to get hit at some point and probably get hurt. So, strategically speaking, you know, Pete Carroll did the right thing there. But Russell Wilson should be the highest paid player or quarterback in the NFL. Because this guy has been nothing short of class. He's a great representative to the team. Even when you know the infighting between him and the defensive players, Legion of Boom, you know, Richard Sherman's, all that, he never took anybody to task publicly. He handled like a gentleman, and all that. And I think he deserves to get rewarded. You know, people say, "Oh, well, Seattle won a Super Bowl because of defense." Yeah, that's correct. But they're not getting to the Super Bowl without Russell Wilson. Let's put it that way. Not in a league where offense still matters. It's still number one. Because we're now in a time where you can win Super Bowls with a average defense, but your offense has to be somewhat viable to work. Russell Wilson's still viable to work even back then before he became an elite quarterback. Period. So, Russell Wilson deserves to be paid. Period. End of discussion. So, we'll see how that turns out. All right. Let me see here. Nipsey Hussle, the rapper, passed away on Sunday. Now, not that I was ever a huge fan of his anyway, and people know me, I'm a big time music head. Hip hop for me, I'm gonna be honest with you, in the last 10 to maybe 15 years, I've softened up on hip hop in that span. Not that I don't enjoy it, but I don't think the majority of the product that I've heard in the last 10 years is something I really care to listen to anymore. Not that, obviously I love Kendrick Lamar, love Kanye, at least most of his early stuff anyway. And, you know, you'll find an artist here or there I love. I just love my old school stuff no matter what. You know, love Busta, you know. But the hip hop in the last 10 years, okay, I mean, go short, maybe in the last 5 years. It's not been something I really cared for. The mumble rap, I'm not into the mumble rap stuff. I always knew who Nipsey Hussle was, because I heard the name, but I never really dived into his material. What's the late last year that I actually heard his last record, his new record that came out recently. I was kind of impressed. But it was solid. But it was definitely something better now I'm hearing, you know, out there in the game today. But I didn't, it was good, but I didn't make any more of that. You know, good artist, cool, whatever. He dies this past Sunday. I'm in shock. And then I'm hearing, some of my friends especially some of my friends who live in California, who are closer to the situation, that may know more about Nipsey Hussle, the person, the impact of him in his community. And I'm really impressed. I'm hearing about what he meant to the community and what he's done for his community. It's a very sad situation, very sad. You don't want to see, and the guy was young. He was in his 30s. Was he 33, I believe? It was definitely a sad situation. And I mean, again, I just started to get into his music. And ever since his passing too, I've dived more into his discography, and he's very impressive. He's my favorite? No, not really, but I can appreciate good music in the end of the day. He's certainly better than the trash that I've heard in the last 5 to 10 years. if we're gonna go that far, I'll dare say I prefer more than Drake. I mean, I don't like Drake, so not saying much. But again, Drake is probably the biggest hip hop artist in the last 10 years, and I prefer Nipsey Hussle's music over Drake's. But it's a sad situation. It's a very sad situation. So, again, rest in peace to Nipsey Hussle, to his wife, his kids. I think he had a kid. I'm not sure how much kids he had. I know he had a kid. His family, of course, grieving about this. They caught the guy, by the way. They caught the suspect, who's apparently he's in solitary confinement because for his own safety. It's sad. I hate hearing stories like this. It sucks. So rest in peace once again, Nipsey Hussle. I think that'll do it. A quick shout out also to Brutus The Barber Beefcake, who is going to be inducted into the World Wrestling Entertainment Hall of Fame. A lot of people have mixed hype posted on social media about Brutus going to the Hall of Fame. A lot of mixed responses to that. I'll say this much. He wasn't a top guy, but he was a great character. All right? Does this really get in? I'm not mad about it. Does he have an impact? No, not. I mean, I guess the character he did get some pushes. And I'll be honest with you, he got some bad luck also too, because there were two instances where Vince McMahon was actually looking to push him to be the IC champion, Intercontinental champion, in 1988, and then I think in 1990, and I think he had an accident in 1988, and then another accident in 1990. That prevented him from getting the belt. So, but look, I'm not mad he's getting to the Hall of Fame. I'm not mad about it. What I am mad about is the fact that the Hart Foundation, it took this long to get them in, and unfortunately, Jim Neidhart won't be around to be alive to get inducted. I can't believe that it took them this long to get that group, to get that tag team to the Hall of Fame, the Hart Foundation. That is where I think is more asinine to me. That's where I'm a little more shocked. Anyway, catch me on Twitter, of course. EJChristian7. And Earnestly.net is the blog. Maybe tomorrow, I might be doing a special episode. I might be doing our first ever mailbag episode on the podcast. Most likely tomorrow. That's the goal. So if you have any questions you want to ask me about anything, sports, TV, Game of Thrones, I don't care. You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, DM me, I don't care. And we'll ask questions. I'll put out the answer on the show, the next show we do. But yeah. So until then, love you guys. Take care and see ya.